What is up? I am live. I think if anyone's here, let me know that you can hear me. Exciting. This is the first time I've gone live in a couple weeks. I think I was trying to get back like on a schedule and I did 2 Sundays in a row and I was like, oh my God, I'm on a roll. Let's do this every Sunday. And then the following Sunday, I was out a little late with my family, so I couldn't get back in time to do a live. So sorry about that. But I still want to do this as a semi-regular cadence. I do like talking about comic books on this platform, on this forum, and I think I am going to get back to doing regular videos on this channel. I've been focusing a lot on the vlog channel, which has been fun and a fun creative outlet, but I think I am sort of like over that little burnout that I had when it came to putting out Yap content. But exciting. So appreciate you all if you're here. Jay, my guy, it's been awesome to see you put yourself out there with your content. So it's been dope seeing you be as consistent as you've been with TikTok and Instagram. Definitely got to get you on the YouTube train, and I promise I'll get better at this. But fun. We're gonna talk about DC Comics solicitations. Just the other day, it was Comics Pro, and then also there is the solicitations for May. So there's a ton of announcements. Sadly, as me, Jay, and a lot of creators have been talking about, there have been no announcements when it comes to DC Comics and an ongoing series with a black-led superhero, which is really frustrating and sometimes hard to get excited about what DC Comics is doing. But like I said, they have some new books that are coming out in the Absolute universe, the regular mainline universe. When it comes to Absolute Batman, that just gets better and better, and you're gonna get Absolute Robin coming pretty soon, so that's exciting. Mothman, always here, no matter when the live is, how inconsistent I am. So I appreciate you, Mothman. Yo, Ken, what's good? How you doing? Let's go. Yeah, you got to post. I think YouTube is the one platform that actually pays you if you are a creator and consistent. So if you, and honestly, I think YouTube is one of those platforms that make you, if you learn the right lessons, you learn how to sort of work on getting better as a creator because you have to learn how to like make thumbnails, you have to learn how to edit, all that kind of stuff. So if I hadn't done YouTube, I don't think I would have the success that I'm kind of like having right now in the sort of short form stuff with like Instagram and TikTok, which Instagram in particular has been doing well, really well for me lately. But Meta does not, unless you do like Facebook, which I don't don't want to do, but they don't pay the creators at all, and it's weird. I like TikTok. I really like because there's a lot of creative people on there, and I think a lot of the energy when it comes to the comic talk is really cool, and seeing cool discussions. It reminds me of early like comic book YouTube, and I like with comic book YouTube. There's great creators like I love the Comic Pals. There's a lot of creators I like, and but it's you can see a lot of certain creators kind of go down a path of being like, okay, because YouTube pays, it's very easy to kind of go down a path of, hey, let me do the thing that gets people angry and start grifting and all that. That's why I kind of took a break because it's like I could see myself sort of going like, hey, like what do people want to see and stuff like that versus like what do I want to talk about? And that's what kind of like started the channel, which was like, hey, let me just put up my phone and talk about what I want to talk about, which is kind of cool about the live. And I think that's why people started subbing to the channel. So I want to get back to that, which is going to be fun. Yes, like Vixen. There's so many characters in the DC pantheon that don't have an ongoing. I think one of the more egregious ones is really Mister Terrific because he had such a splash in the movie last year, and now people have to support the book and all that to keep it ongoing. Like there's characters that are that have gotten canceled in terms of their series. That are white and mainline characters, but they should have used that platform, and they did have a mini series to kind of be like, okay. And I think the book sold well because, like, I think issue 3, which had some covers that were really in line with the Superman movie and came out around the time the Superman movie came out. When I was at Midtown, they were limiting the amount you could buy of that particular book, which kind of tells you that the book was hot and all that, and the story was awesome. So I think if they had invested a little bit more in that series, especially considering that he's kind of like one of the leaders of the Justice League Unlimited, and he's in a bunch of different books in the mainline DC universe. I don't know why he doesn't have a ongoing series, which again is frustrating and smart to kind of build him up so that eventually, if you wanted to, make a movie or a TV series based on Mr. Terrific, you have a bunch of trades ready for those new readers or new people that discover the character, which they didn't have much of when it came to the movie. And I think that is kind of like a little bit frustrating, but and not a little bit, very frustrating, honestly. Um, yeah, I thought we were gonna get a Mr. Terrific series. Like I thought they were gonna just upgrade the year one into a ongoing, or at least announce another book. But yes, Muffin, there's some books that are to be announced that Sky's and I gotta give Scott Snyder credit for taking the feedback and sort of like, hey, because it is, again, there's a lot of new readers that are sort of wide spanning in terms of demographics, and it's like it is important to have something that where everyone could see themselves in. And there's a lot of new books that I'm excited about. Etrigan is finally getting a book. Deadman is getting a book. But where's the Static book? Where is that book? That is, I mean, hopefully we find out more when the new history of the DC universe comes out this week. But there are things that it's hard to ignore. Yeah, he is leading the Justice League Unlimited, and again, the Terrific 10. There's so many things you could do with Mister Terrific. Chris, happy Sunday. What's good? Yeah, so we'll get into looking over the May solicits, which are very. I mean, if I get over these ads that keep coming up on the website. But yeah, some cool stuff, like especially in the Absolute universe. That's really kind of like what I've been following. Absolute Batman number 20. This is going to be the first full appearance of Absolute Robin. We may see them earlier, I think, in Absolute Batman number 17, which was a great issue. I don't think there's a bad issue of Absolute Batman at all. There's some teases that are definitely kind of like teasing out who the Robin will be. And if you look at the solicitation and the description of this issue, there's a tease that there's not just one Absolute Batman, but actually Robins. I mean, Absolute Robins. Um, let's read that. As the dust settles in the city of Gotham after the loss of Redacted, who knows who that is, Redacted enter the scene ready to hunt, and more than one secret will be revealed in this seminal issue. Spoilers, the Absolute Court of Owls make their appearance in here. We know they're going to be in the next issue, so someone might die in the next few issues. There's kind of like, I'm thinking, Martha, like his mom, or Commissioner Gordon. There's so many different characters that it can be. The redacted piece that's on the website, if you actually go to the DC Connect, which is their version of like, previews world and stuff, it says Robins in one of them. So, sorry, I thought the website would have that version of the solicitation, but Robins enter the scene. That is what it is. And then we have Absolute Catwoman, which is exciting. It's going to be a 6-issue miniseries. Shay Grayson, who I believe has worked on some Tiny Onion stuff. I saw them at New York Comic Con. A friend of mine does some great work with Tiny Onion. So Shay Grayson, they're going to be writing this with Scott Snyder. This is going to be cool. I feel like Absolute Catwoman in the Absolute Batman series has been really cool, and I hope this is extended. And if this is extended to a ongoing series, we'll have another black lead Absolute title, which is something DC absolutely needs. So I'm hoping this series does really well, which honestly I don't think there's an Absolute book that's been doing bad. Let's see, 1 second there. Maybe Absolute Robins will be a redux of War. I don't know. I don't know. I think the Absolute Robins piece. What I liked about Absolute 17 was the fact that you're kind of talking about the impact that Absolute Batman is having, and also the end of the Abomination arc, sort of him acknowledging that he kind of has to be a little bit different to rise up to the challenge of this new wave of Gotham villains. I mean, not new because they're in power like Absolute Joker, um, but if you've seen Absolute Joker, you know he's gonna need more than one Robin. He's the Bat family is forming pretty fast because he's gonna need some help. They better not kill Martha, man. I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna kill Martha. I felt like they were kind of like in the first arc, they almost wanted to do it. I think it's gonna either be one of those two. Mainly because right now we're also getting Barbara Gordon. She's a part of this arc, so to see kind of like, and I think that's what's cool about Absolute Batman 17 because it teases out multiple people that could be the Robins. You have Barbara, you have Dick, you have this version of Harley Quinn and the Red Hood gang. We haven't seen Jason Todd yet, or at least in my head, like maybe he's appeared in a panel or something like that, but I haven't seen Absolute Jason Todd. Jack Grimm will kill all 13 Jason Todds. Yes. Another cool panel, and I wish I was better at this live stream stuff. Was the return of Jack Grimm to Gotham as the prodigal son of Gotham, which was really cool and sort of like a mirror effect of him being the Bruce Wayne of this Absolute universe. All I know is my girl Babs got a bat mask and now a cape piece. Yes, Babs is. I think she's gonna be huge coming up. So I think she's probably gonna. I think she's gonna be one of the Robins, or or sort of a mixed version. Like I said, I think his cast of characters is gonna grow, and also we saw sort of like his friends that he grew up with are now going to be a lot different because of what Bane did to them, and I'm interested to see where they go. We know Oswald does not fuck with Batman right now. He is not happy. And when it comes to Harvey, obviously his head is cracked in half. So maybe one day he might like Batman. One day he might hate him. Anyone but Martha, please. Yes, I would love for it to I could take Gordon going. Martha. I did like that twist that both of his parents weren't dead, and I'm interested to see what her past looks like and her connection to the Absolute Court of Owls. I think that's going to be really interesting. But yeah, Absolute Catwoman, and then Absolute Green Arrow. This might be the greatest comeback ever. Absolute Green Arrow was a laughingstock because he appeared and then immediately was folded by Absolute Hawkman. So and I think what was kind of crazy about him being killed by Absolute Hawkman was they made it very gruesome, and I think to kind of like quell anything, be like, yeah, he's actually dead. There's no like, he's dead. He's not having an open casket, and so that's what makes this book really interesting because it's like, is it a zombie version of Ollie? Is it someone a part of Ollie's circle that maybe is taking on, this revenge tour because of what happened to Ollie? And then we got Black Canary, who is a bodyguard for billionaires, I think, based on the solicitations. They have some really cool covers. I love Pornsack Pinochet. They did The Good Asian is really good. They did Man's Best, which is a really good Boom Studios book with Jesse Lonergan. And Raphael Albuquerque is going to be doing the book, who was, I think they were the initial artists for Absolute Superman, but they had to switch off for one reason or another, and then they've been doing Superman Unlimited, which I fell off of after like 2 issues. But yeah, a serial killer is slaughtering corrupt billionaires. The only clue to his identity is the mysterious green arrow sticking out of his victims' corpses. Executive Protection Specialist Dinah Lance, aka Absolute Black Canary, and Executive Protection Specialist, hey, she's a bodyguard for billionaires, is one of the people tasked to uncover this murderer's identity as she investigates her suspects. All familiar DC archers uniquely linked to a recently murdered Oliver Queen. I know what you did last summer for billionaires. I think that's a pretty good pitch. like a slasher movie where like someone's going around and killing billionaires. I think that's kind of like very topical right now. So I think that is a crazy pitch and sort of in line with the Absolute Universe, where you think maybe they'll go one direction, but they go a completely different direction. So where you might think that, hey, like the Green Arrow might be the billionaire that is kind of like a Robin Hood figure and all that, but now he is a Jason Voorhees type character, and that would actually be interesting. That you have Green Arrow, maybe like Jason or like a Michael Myers, where you can't kill them. I think that would be cool. Especially I've read like Green Arrow. I've said this on stream before, is one of my favorite DC characters. Arrow the show, the Arrowverse, I love that. But my first DC comic that I read the full story of was Green Arrow Quiver. Still have my, and I brought this out a couple times, but still have my original copy that I had when I was a kid. So you can even see the yellow pages. Signed by Phil Hester and Andy Parks. I just need Kevin Smith's signature, and every time I have a chance to, I take it for granted. I'm like, oh, he has a shop in Jersey. It's New York. He'll come around sometime, or come around next time. So I definitely got to do that, because I don't want to be in a position where I can't get his autograph. So Green Arrow, love that character, and I think that's going to be an interesting take on the character in terms of like what revelations they are, what kind of, and it would be cool to kind of like, if the full 6 issues you kind of go maybe until the end where you don't know who he is. And I think because it's a 6-issue series, they can maybe do that. I don't know if they're going to extend it like a Absolute Martian Manhunter and stuff like that. But Green Arrow has a history of extending their series. Their last series, which was the DC All In, was meant to be 7 issues, then got extended to like 7-12, and then, ended up going 31. Sadly, it was canceled, but I think getting 31 issues out of a book that was initially set out to be 6 or 7 is still pretty good. Kind of an L job for Dina, but hope she gets better. Yeah, not gotta find work where you can in the Absolute Universe. I would have preferred her to be like a private investigator or something like that. That maybe knew Ollie in some capacity. But I think if you've read the Good Asian, Pornsak does a really good job with sort of like that noir stuff. So I kind of am interested to see if it's kind of like slasher movie meets noir, where Dina is kind of the investigator and all that kind of stuff, and seeing who hires her as the to seek out this absolute Green Arrow. So I'm excited for the series. And the early look at the art, like this Raphael Albuquerque cover, is so good. This one is as well. This is what cover is that one? The Gilla March one is really good. The Tule Latte, she does a lot of great covers. So I'm excited for that one, which is essentially making Dina Lance Florence Pugh. Absolute Superman. It looks like we're getting absolutely Black Adam, which is cool. So this is Absolute Superman number 19, from Jason Aaron and Rafa Sandoval. King Shazam. Oh, actually, Shazam, not Black Adam. King Shazam has risen with a power unlike anything Superman has faced before. What connection does he have to Brainiac and mysterious Father Box? Plus, another classic character has made their absolute debut, though it remains to be seen if they're a friend or foe of the Man of Steel. What's cool about Absolute Superman post, defeating Ra's al Ghul, is that it's definitely turning more into a Superman book where characters from the world of Superman, like Lex Luthor and stuff like that, are kind of invading their world or making their debut. We see Lois Lane get a job at the Daily Planet. We see Absolute Perry White, who has fallen on hard times, all that kind of stuff. So I think Absolute Superman was one of those books that kind of I fell off of, and then when I got back into it, I'm like, this is so good. Absolute Wonder Woman. Terry Dodson Wonder Woman cover. Like, are you serious? Like, it's so good. There's such a good artist. Hayden Sherman right there. Who's Clay and Crane? Oh, Clay and Crane Wonder Woman. This art and cover is going to be Hayden Sherman. Against the wall, Diana and Zatanna must join forces or perish. So I think this is a continuation of the witch arc, and then Absolute Green Lantern, which is one of my favorite Absolute titles. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough. As someone that I read Far Sector after the hype brought it way up, and then I read it and I was like, I don't know if I like it as much as other people, but I love Joe Mullen in this series. I am constantly fascinated in the directions they take the Absolute mythos and the introduction of characters like like Simon Boz, like he's like a CIA agent and stuff like that. So I love this book. This is a book I'm constantly like when the new issue is out. If I forget to get it at the shop, I'll buy it digitally so I can read it. Sean, what's up? Yeah, Terry Dodson, like they should honestly make them like the main Wonder Woman artist on one of the books, because like anytime I see them do a Wonder Woman cover, I'm like, that's probably gonna be one I'm gonna buy. Crane been doing a good amount for Absolute DC. I think they just did a cover for Absolute Batman. I think Absolute Batman 17 had a Crane cover, if I'm not mistaken. I think like I saw a cover and I felt like that was Crane when I was at the shop. So Mothman, Absolute Green Lantern needs way more love. Yes, I feel like people, Absolute Flash was supposed to be like on that second wave of Absolute books, supposed to be what I thought would be my favorite. And I like Absolute Flash, but I feel like it's very like traditional superheroes, which is fine, but there's nothing about it where I'm like, oh my god, like it's crazy what they're doing with this or that. Whereas Absolute Green Lantern, I'm constantly fascinated by, and things I thought I wouldn't like Hal being the villain again and stuff like that. I actually enjoy those choices. So it really speaks to the direction of the book, where I went in super skeptical of what they were doing, and I love the book. Anytime I talk about Absolute books, I have to talk about how this book proved me absolutely wrong and is amazing. So Absolute Green Lantern number 14. Absolute Flash. Speak of the Flash, and he shall appear. Dustin Yen on that cover. I love Dustin Yen. On the hunt for answers, Wally is drawn to the derelict facility of the now defunct Super Science Lab, Star Labs, but something is dwelling within the halls of this place, and the Flash is not ready for this new threat. Yes. I still have Absolute Flash 11 on my to read pile, so I need to catch up to understand what's going on. And the end of Absolute Martian Manhunter. I love Absolute Martian Manhunter. I think it's one of those books I kind of go back to. It's like I feel like it's very much like Animal Man or something like Grant Morrison would write, where you read it and you're like, wow, I gotta read this again. And sometimes I'm like, am I dumb? And then I'll read it and I was like, I think I get what they're talking about. So yeah, it's sad to see Dennis Camp and Javier Rodriguez end this run, but from what Scott Snyder has said, from what Dennis Camp has said, they had the opportunity to do more, but they got offered something they couldn't pass up, which I'm not mad at, because the series was initially intended to only go 6 issues, so the fact that we got 12 is really cool, and we got this really thing. I think Absolute Martian Manhunter shows like when you have something as successful as like Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Superman, those 3 books which carry kind of like the sales of the entire DC line, you can take crazy chances with a book like Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I think a lot of people dig, and I love the art in the book, and it's one of those things like I'm the type that I like to be surprised, and when I saw the covers, I saw the direct, I was like, I don't know what this book is going to be about. I think, and also being a father and sort of like the state of the world and how crazy things can be, I think this is very much in line with Assorted Crisis Events and the Ultimates in terms of what Dennis Camp is trying to say through his art, and I dig it. I love Absolute Martian Manhunter. Hello, Lurking. Anike sort of abandoned Absolute Green Lantern after issue 5 was trade waiting it. That's fair. I mean, I think 6 is where the first arc ends, and I mean, to be fair, the comic companies, they'll make it easy to find single issues sometimes, and sometimes they incentivize you to trade weight, especially with the cost of comics. So I will never hate on anyone for trade waiting, but it's one of those books that for me, I have to read the next issue. I have to find out more about this absolute Green Lantern lore. And I'm constantly fascinated by it. And like I said, I think the reason I like it so much is that I went in as a skeptic. I thought I wasn't gonna like it, and then I ended up loving it. So um, I think that's why I'm so attracted to it, and it's a great book. It's a great book. Ooh, Barbara Gordon. I think this is Breakout. Yes. Probably not called Batgirl because they already have a Batgirl series at DC, which is actually going on much longer than you expect. And it's crazy that a Batgirl series could go on longer than a Infernal Hulk series, which is going to end at 10. I know they're going to relaunch it and rename it, whatever they're going to do at Marvel, but I do appreciate that DC has a couple books like that that are constantly going. What's really cool there is the Jorge Corona cover, which is sort of like in line with a lot of the next level books. And then there's this cover, which I don't know if we're gonna see her in the suit early on because she's in prison for one reason or another. Let's see: framed, outlawed, hunted. The extra legal activities of Gotham's vigilantes have never been more dangerous. After Barbara Gordon is arrested for aiding the Bat family, she is she's shipped off to Supermax GCPD Commissioner Vandal Savage Pet Project prison for all those who for I can't read today. I'm sorry. For all who oppose him. So you should be reading Matt Fraction and Jorge Jimenez's Batman because it seems like, and also like I wasn't caught up on Batman, so when I was reading Batman by Jorge and Matt Fraction, and I read it every issue that comes out, I was like, Vandal Savage is the police commissioner. Well, what the fuck did this happen? And so yeah, it looks like he is, very much like Daredevil, when there is the Devil's Reign and, you had Mayor Fisk and stuff like that. It looks like he is taking the war to the vigilantes, which is cool, and I think I'm going to collect all these Corona covers because they're all awesome. And then we have Zatanna. Zatanna is going to have her own ongoing, which is great because you have Gala March with another Zatanna banger. They did an absolute Wonder Woman cover with Absolute Zatanna, which was just like this one, and I bought that. That was definitely something I had to get. Love that. But let's see what else. My bad. Yeah, so that cover. Then Jamal Campbell is going to be writing it and then also doing the art. So cool of DC to reward them because their miniseries did so well. Let's give them an ongoing. So excited about that. Batwoman from Greg Rucka and Danny. Danny is one of my favorite artists. She is amazing. So even though I'm not too familiar with Batwoman, I think I might get the compact comic to kind of catch up on what. I mean, not to say that it covers all the years in between or anything like that, but to see what Greg Rucka's Batwoman is like, because I love Danny and I am sort of like on board with most of these next level titles. Lobo from Scotty Young and Jorge Corona. Is this a Scotty Young cover? Oh, this is a Jorge Corona cover. This cover is amazing. Like, this mini Lobo looks like a Violator from Spawn. So yeah, I think the first issue comes out next week or something like that, which is dope. So we'll see if it's good, And then Deathstroke #3 from Tony Fleesh and Carmine Di Giandomenico. I am excited about this because it's like Deathstroke, very 90s John Wick style kind of book. So I think if you've read any Tony Fleece's and Tim Seeley's Local Man, this is going to be good. So I'm excited about that series. The Fury of Firestorm from Jeff Lemire. Who is Ronnie Raymond, and how did he become the powerful nuclear man Firestorm? Is there an answer in his past that sheds light on how he went rogue? I'm gonna be real with you guys. I have outside of the Arrowverse, don't know much about Firestorm. And then when he showed up in Injustice 2, so I'm gonna give this a try because it's Jeff Lemire. But yeah, I don't know much about Firestorm. That is a blind spot for me. Oh, this is probably why Barbara gets locked up. Definitely helping Batman in this case. These David Aja covers have been really awesome, so that's cool. Um, and it looks like we're kind of like barreling towards Batman event. I think in the summer there's going to be a Poison Ivy sort of led event because she's becoming the mayor now. So you have Poison Ivy as the mayor, and then Vandal Savage as the police commissioner. So things are crazy in Gotham right now. Love this Dustin Yen cover, more Bat Family goodness. But I'd imagine the events from this Batman #9 kind of lead into what's going on with Barbara and her going to prison. Firestorm is a big gamble, hoping it pays off. If you have Jeff Lemire, I think like they probably have a good take, and they've always, steered towards those type of characters. Like, their Animal Man was very different from what Grant Morrison did, and it's still fantastic. So I'm have faith in it because it's next level and it's the book he wants to do. So I'm sure he has a really cool take. But for me, Firestorm, yeah. Definitely a blind spot. Oh, look, Mayor Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy number 44. I will say that again. Poison Ivy number 44. Infernal Hulk 10 issues. I rest my case. Batgirl. We talked about this earlier. Batgirl number 19. Tate Bromble. I have to catch up on the series because I started reading it on DC Infinite and it was really good. So Tate has been doing great work. Their Green Lantern Dark, which was like an Elseworld story, was pretty cool. Definitely have to check that out. Detective Comics from Tom Taylor and Mikael Janin. Love this Riley Rossmo cover of Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Batman. But I maybe read the first issue of this run and fell off of it. I honestly was kind of disappointed that Ron V left the book. I mean, everyone does. 2 years is a long time, and they had like an omnibus to fill of issues that they did. But I don't know. I just fell off of it, and there's only so many Bat books you could buy, and Detective Comics was the one I decided to kick. Is this a Danny? Dude, if I get one more ad on this website, that is a Danny Nightwing cover. I'm gonna buy that. Who did this one? Philip Tan. That's cool. Dan Waters, Dennis Cowan. Dennis Cowan is now in the book. Who is off? Dexter Soy. I think his last issue just came out today. This past New Comic Book Day, which is Nightwing 135. I think I have it here somewhere. Let's see my pile. Yeah, there it is. Nightwing 135. Dan Waters is amazing. They're about to do Mask as Skybound, and I'm so excited for that book. Did I grow up on Mask? No. Have I ever bought a Mask toy? No. Do I even know what Mask is? No. But Dan Waters' Destro is the only reason I even tried the G.I. Joe side of the Energon universe, and it was fantastic, and it got me onto that. So Dan Waters is probably going to make me a fan of Mask. Yeah, 135. Yeah. Let's see. And then Harley Quinn, probably issue number 3000. This is a really cool Gilliam March, homage to The Dark Knight Returns. Harley Quinn number 62. Number 62. I think Deadpool just got another relaunch. Deadpool's on issue 1, and Harley Quinn is on issue number 62. Says a lot. Says a lot about the priorities of the two companies. This is a crazy cover. I have no idea what this is for. I think it's for Catwoman, but what is going on in Catwoman that this is a cover? Maybe I need to pick it up. The finale for this Nightwing arc was so good. I have to catch up. I'm behind. I have the books, and then also have DC Infinite. but so many bad books that I have that sometimes that falls by the wayside, which is insane to say for someone who has a channel named Nightwing Stan, who has a Nightwing figure behind me and all that, and is wearing a Robin shirt. But yes, I've fallen behind on Nightwing, and I'm embarrassed. Tom King's Wonder Woman. Yeah, there's that. Is this Superman? Justice League Unlimited, number 19. Uh, this cover is pretty cool. I think that's Bruno Redondo, if I'm not mistaken. And then this is Dan Mora. The colors look crazy on this Dan Mora cover. This is cool. Kyle Rayner and The Flash, who did that cover. And it's either Kevin Wada or Nathan Shirley. That's a really cool cover. JSA number 19. JSA is on issue number 19 from Jeff Lemire. The cover and art is by Diego Orlotegui. Spectre's back. Love the Spectre. And the return of the greatest DC crossover ever, Sonic X DC or DC X Sonic. This was really cool, and it's crazy how big this got. They already have toys for it. We're already on our second arc. Look at Eggman looking like Lex Luthor. That's awesome. It was a really fun crossover. This one's called DC X Sonic the Hedgehog, the Metal Legion. So pick that up. Fun book. Nightwing Dan Waters is only way I able to get 15 Doctor Who stories. No D plus. Yeah, they're on Doctor Who, and I almost tried out a Doctor Who comic because Dan Waters was on it. In my life, I've never watched an episode of Doctor Who. I've watched trailers. I've tried, but it's just I couldn't get into it. Maybe I'll try again. Superman, Superboy Prime is now the leader of Superman. This is a really cool VHS cover. All these covers look really cool. I fell off of Superman. With Joshua Williamson, I feel like there's never a bad Joshua Williamson book, but sometimes it's I've never been oh, I gotta read this. Except Iron Man. I just got Iron Man and I really dug that. And I think because it was a relaunch, and I am just itching to get into more Marvel books. Because it's been a while. Honestly, I only have a few mainline Marvel books that I'm reading, and the fact that they're ending the Ultimate Universe, I kind of have to read mainline Marvel now if I want any Marvel. So I was excited about that. But Dan Moore has been working 4 or 5 jobs, and he's still the main artist on that, which is insane. Yes, any Dan Mora cover is going to be hot. Action Comics from Mark Waid, continuing his run in terms of Superboy stories. This is also something I fell behind on, but it's cool that he's doing the Superboy arc, because I think when Action Comics and Superman are in the same time, sometimes it could get confusing, because then the events have to kind of cross over in some way. So I like the fact that they've gone towards this Superboy time to give Mark Waid some space to tell his stories, while also giving Joshua Williamson the space to tell his. Nightwing 134 was soup, and I thought 135 was bittersweet ending. Circus scene, but hopeful. Yeah, I gotta catch up on that. Supergirl number 13. We're on Supergirl 13, which is great, which means it will still be going on when the Supergirl movie comes out, and there'll be really cool crossovers and variant covers and stuff like that. I think the movie comes out in June. This one is in this cover comes out in May, so that'll be cool. Look at that. Is this Superman Unlimited? Maybe Superman Unlimited. Yeah, that I definitely fell off. Lucas Meyer is doing the art, which makes sense because Raphael Albuquerque is going to be doing Absolute Green Lantern, which is cool. This is a really cool cover. I fell off of this book. The first issue wasn't bad. It was very Silver Age and stuff. But yeah, Superman comics I've never been too into, This is a dope cover. Is this Dan Mora too? This is insane. This is World's Finest 51. Variant covers Matea de Luis and Adrian Gutierrez. I think Adrian Gutierrez maybe did this one. Or this one. Let's see. If I click on it, does it tell me? No, it does not tell me. But Really dope cover. Titans. This is a really cool Torrin Clark cyborg. You know who also could use a great ongoing series? Cyborg. New Titans, and I think this leads into a new team after this book, which is going to be cool. Aquaman, Emperor Aquaman. It looks like Black Manta is entering the fray, which is cool. This has been one of the most consistent books at DC. What's dope too is that even though they changed the name from Aquaman to Emperor Aquaman, no relaunch, no new number one, no like, hey, gotta give props where props are due, in my eyes. And then I think this is Green Lantern Corps. This is a really cool Nakayama cover. Who's this character? Yeah. Oh, well, this is dope. That's dope. That is dope. Yeah, this is regular Green Lantern, Green Lantern 35. I thought it was Green Lantern Corps. Sorry, I like paused for a minute. Is that like this cover is insane? I'm gonna get that cover. Whoa, 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 whoa. Is this Green Lantern Corps? Yes, this is Green Lantern Corps. This is a dope cover. And if you watch the Green Lantern animated series, you know, if you know, you know. Guy Gardner is getting his own series, which is fun. Interesting that is happening in the summer. That's allegedly when we're supposed to get the Lanterns show. So hopefully he's going to be appearing in that. This David Aja cover, again, amazing. So, again, capitalizing on the popularity of the shows, which, they should have done more with Mr. Terrific. We did get that miniseries, but again, ongoing. How is it? How is Green Lantern Corps? Because I I'm gonna be honest, I fell off. As I got too many Bat books on the. Maybe I need to diversify a little bit. But I did love the mainline Green Lantern book. Anything Jeremy Adams, and I know Adams and Mo Hampton were co-writing the first arc, and I think Mo Hampton is writing it completely now. Which is cool. But yeah, Tales of the Green Lantern Corps, Guy Gardner, number one. It is. I'm gonna go back to it again. The cool thing about having DC Infinite is like I could catch up. The Flash. This is a cool cover. Flash number 33, written by Ryan North, Gavin Goudry. This is starting the new sort of era of the Flash, which I'm excited about. Um, Cy Spurrier went sort of like a sci-fi horror route, which sure I think after sort of like Jeremy Adams run where he brought back Wally to kind of like prominence and stuff like that, I think that was kind of like a weird direction to go in. But this Gavin Goudry cover is really awesome. Junie Ba, who did the Boy Wonder, the Damien story, this is a cool cover. I'm excited to get back into this. I have the thumbnail queued up for a video, and that tells you how behind and sort of like I need to get back on it for a Flash video on this series. I've had it for like a month. So need to catch up. Adventures of Superman Book of L number 8. I think I've been trade waiting this entire series because it's kind of continuing Philip Kennedy Johnson's story from his Warworld saga when he was on Action Comics. And I read the first issue and there was a lot going on, and I felt like there were things I forgot about his Action Comics run that I feel like I needed that context. So I am waiting to get back on that. What is this? Gotham Academy. I did not know that was back. This is cool. This is a Jor-El book. I'm excited about this. Is this Riley Rossmo? I love Riley Rossmo. Um, I know for some people he's an acquired taste, but I love him. Danny Earls is like one of the best sort of like artists that have come through in the last few years. Like their sort of fill-in issues on Incredible Hulk were fantastic. They did some amazing Batman covers. I really want to kind of get some original art from them, hopefully. But this is exciting. Superman, Father of Tomorrow, a Jor-El story. Where Jor-El is being a hero instead of a fascist like he was in Superman. But that's a video for another day. But Swamp Thing, 1989, number 2, which is Rick Veitch coming back to Swamp Thing with art by Tom Mandrake. Tom Mandrake, one of my all-time favorite DC artists. Spectre, Martian Manhunter, they're just amazing. Tom Mandrake. If you don't know, now you know. Sirens. I'm buying this cover for reasons. So yeah, Sirens Love Hurts number 4. I think I have the first issue on my to read pile, so gotta catch up on that. Looks like we're getting a facsimile, or a facsimile, the Saga of Swamp Thing number 21. I think this is the first Alan Moore on Swamp Thing, if I'm not mistaken. That's the significance of that. It looks like Static versus Batman Beyond. The first issue, I'm gonna be real, I didn't like it, and it made it like I heard the second issue got better. I felt like the first issue, I was being really kind to, because it was trying to set up, like, establish like what's going on with both Static and Batman Beyond and Terry. And yeah, I just wanted them to dive back in, and that maybe that's a problem with me because like of the nostalgia of growing up on the Static Shock animated series and Batman Beyond, that I was like, oh, I already know all this information, like you could just jump into them being like, together and all that kind of stuff. So I have to catch up on it because the covers keep getting better. Like, look at this. Like, this Batman Beyond design is awesome. Like, him having a full cape, and then this look at Static, like, this is like the best Static I've seen in a while. And then this cover is really cool. Like, you have the Justice League from the year 3000 and stuff. Big Barda, Hawkman, Green Lantern, Flash. So have to catch up. Nice House by the Sea. I have not read this. I read Nice House by the Lake, which is cool. Bleeding Hearts. This is awesome. Junie Ba getting more cover work, and this is like first issue was really dope. And then this more Vertigo stuff. It looks like we're on the Vertigo side of things. The Peril of the Brutal Dark and Ezra Kane Mystery. This I think comes out this week, issue 1, so can't really say. I'm excited about it. I'm buying all the Vertigo titles, so this first issue came out last week, which was End of Life. Kyle Starks, is an automatic buy, whatever it is. I haven't read it yet. It's still on my to read pile. But Kyle Starks, Steve Pugh, they were on the team behind Peacemaker Tries Hard, which was awesome. They said Guy would be in Lanterns for a little. Yeah, I hope so. I hope they don't, kill him, which is something that I think is possible, being that they are investigating a murder. But hopefully it's not Guy. My breath got cold. I'm going to catch up on Static Batman Beyond 2. I've heard good things. Yeah, I've heard good things about the following issues. Issue 2 and I think issue 3 we're on right now. But that first issue, I think, and also I was really hyped for it. I was like, oh, like 1, we're getting Static back, and then 2, you're doing the crossover, like the ultimate crossover, like when I was a kid. So maybe I put too much expectations on it, but I think, yeah, it wasn't my favorite first issue. But I'm going to give it a shot and go back to it. Mad number 600, or Mad Magazine number 50. This is, I think, the takeover of Chip Zdarsky. I think he's taking over Mad, which is cool. Another facsimile of Justice League number 75. I don't know the significance of this. Is this first Black Canary in the Silver Age or something like that? Maybe. Detective Comics, Facsimile, Dark Knight Returns. Ooh, this action figure cover is really dope. Classic Neil Adams. It pissed me off when in Arrow when they did this with Ollie, because it's like, why would you recreate this scene with Green Arrow? Yeah, not my favorite. Not that it was like the show was still good at that time, but I, like, as a Batman fan, I'm like, felt like a little bit like Stolen Valor, This classic, whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, one of the all-time classic Superman stories. So if you want a physical copy of it, it'll be on stands in May. And then Teen Titans Together. I think these books are super popular. The Cami Garcia and Gabriel Piccolo books. Anytime I go to Comic Con, I've never read any of these, but both of them always have a line which says that there's a lot of people that love these books, and they still make them. So really cool. Nightwing Volume 3, The Cirque du Scene. So if I wanted to catch up in physical form, I can. Poison Ivy, yeah. So that's pretty much it when it comes to, now we're going into like trades and stuff like that when it comes to comics. And then we could talk about some of the books I read this week, which is Wolverine. This was awesome. Chip Zdarsky's, it might have been last week, but Chip Zdarsky's new Marvel universe that he's kind of crafting. I thought that was dope, and to have one of the best Canadian writers writing one of the best Canadian characters is really cool. And then to kind of continue that, Captain America #7, which is really dope. This made me want to be like, why is Red? I mean, not that Thunderbolt Ross is a nice guy, but I was like, why is Red Hulk being such a dick? And then I was like, you know what? I think there's a Red Hulk series, so I went on Marvel Unlimited, and there's like 10 issues of a Ben Percy Red Hulk series. Who knew? Maybe it's being relaunched right now. But I was like, you know what? Let me read this. And I read the first 2 issues, and I was like, oh, that's why he's being such a dick. He hates Doom. for very valid reasons. So if you're reading Chip Zdarsky's Captain America, I do recommend reading that Red Hulk series, because then it gives you a lot of context as to why, Red Hulk would hate Doom and Latveria. I was flipping through Court #6 the other week and learned they gave Joker's dog a kids comic. Is Court in the DC universe? I thought it was kind of like a kids, kind of like a separate Elseworlds kind of thing. Yeah, maybe I try that out. And also, like, when Tom Taylor writes kind of like characters that he's either created or in Elseworld stuff, I think that's where they really shine. So maybe I'll check that out. Nightwing 135, I have to catch up. Ultimate Spider-Man #24, the last issue. Still haven't read this, but I think Ultimate Spider-Man was a real, especially #1, was a moment in time. It was great. It got a lot of people back into comics. I think it gave people a version of Peter that they've been waiting for in the regular mainline 616 universe that Marvel, for one reason or another, resents and is willing to cancel a whole universe and not do it in the mainline. So I felt like I had to get this issue. Absolute Batman #17. Again, fantastic. I have 4 copies of this. I went back to Midtown to get like 3 more copies yesterday, so to make my total 4. Because on Sunday, Ink Pulp, which is a collective of artists that do a podcast, and one of them is Eric Canetti, who is the interior artist on this book. They're going to be doing a signing at Forbidden Planet in NYC, so I'm going to go to that signing. Hopefully get this signed, maybe do a giveaway if I'm able to go. I hope so. Right now the weather is crazy in New York City. Is literally, they already canceled school. Some work is canceled for some people. I'm hoping I don't have to go to work tomorrow, but we'll see. Then End of Life. Have to read this. The first vertical title, which was Bleeding Hearts, was fantastic. So excited for that. I got Smile for the Camera, which is from Hannah Rose May, which is like set in the Smile movie universe. I thought that was cool, so I'll check that out. And then this is from the week before, but Cyclops #1. I did read this one. This is fantastic. It's exactly like if you're like me and you, after X-Men 97, you have a newfound love of Cyclops and how much of a badass he is. This issue 1 gives you exactly that. So I'm excited for this series. I know it's hard to invest in Marvel and not trade weight because all these books are written for trade and they end after 10 issues, but I think this is a great sort of like jumping on point and good book. Court is very fun. I'm gonna check it out. Maybe I read it with my son and stuff. Court is fine. The characters don't really get fleshed out enough, and it looks like it's ending after 6 issues. Danielle Colo art is great. Excited for them on the new Teen Titans. That new Teen Titans book looks great. Funny that they got Jason's old ass to run the Teen Titans. But that is an interesting status quo for a character that, um, I feel that, at least in my opinion, some of their best stories are really behind them, and it's really hard to do something new with them. Leading the Teen Titans is kind of interesting, so I stand corrected, and I'm willing to give it a shot. Do I need to know anything before reading Cyclops? Dreamer, no, you really don't. I will say the X Men since the Krakoa era are a mess. But I have not read any of that since I read like the first issue of the new X Men where Cyclops is leading the team in Alaska and stuff like that. But this issue does a really good job of catching you up and giving you all the information and starting everything new. So Dreamer, check out, read it. I think it's really fun. Um, did you do a video on Cyclops? I felt like another creator that I know did a Cyclops video, and I think this alongside the movie, Doomsday, and X Men '97 season 2, it's cool. Like, it's cool to be a Cyclops fan. So read that. Also, I'm hoping that Cyclops shows up in Marvel Tokon. That's gonna be really cool. And then I want SH Figure Arts. They did a like a Marvel versus Capcom Cyclops figure that I saw in person. They didn't have it in stock yet, but I'm definitely gonna try to buy that. When I get some bread. So excited about that. I think you should read it. I'm down for Den Mom Jason. So am I. I think that's cool. Like, he's obviously been through a lot. So, and I've never seen him in a role like that, which would kind of make sense, having someone that maybe, wouldn't volunteer for something like that to put him in that role. And Kyle Higgins is a great writer. And, obviously they wrote Nightwing, Power Rangers, and all that stuff. So I am definitely going to try out that series and give it a chance. Ended up dropping it for my pull list, so hopefully my LCS still has some in stock. Maybe because it's an issue 1, like, and it sold a lot. Maybe there's a second printing, and there was a lot of covers when I went, so they should hopefully have it. But Cyclops #1 is good. It's just, again, like the X-Men are a mess, and there's some little like hints of like what's going on in the issue, but I didn't feel like I had to go back and read, 2 years of stories. Like, I knew they were in Alaska. That's what I felt like. That's all I really needed to know. And it's cool. Like, you get some really cool Cyclops moments, like you did in X-Men '97, and hopefully you're gonna get in season 2 and stuff like that. So, and also for me, I've been trying to add more mainline Marvel books. And I think alongside that, Iron Man, Infernal Hulk, before they relaunch it, are all good signs that at least some aspects of the Marvel universe are, headed in the right direction. So, really cool. Cap, Storm, and Rogue. I mean, Rogue just started too. I wonder how that is. Cap is amazing. Cap made me go back and read some stuff. The other day, I almost bought 3 Chip Zdarsky books. There's a Doom book that Chip is writing. I bought like Captain America, that Wolverine, and there was a Doom book. And that Doom book, I was like, man, I can't buy 3 Chip Zdarsky books in one day. I just can't. I'll be back, or I'll read it, like I'll buy it digitally later. And then when I left, I was like, man, I kind of want to read that. Because like I said, even though it is like a book you could kind of read on its own, like Captain America, like I really was interested in seeing why Red Hulk was such a dick. Why is he so pissed? I mean, he's a Hulk and he's Thunderbolt Ross, but I was like, why is he so interested in what's going on in Latveria? And then I read, his Red Hulk, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then now I'm reading that book. So I think Chip is the perfect person to kind of lead this new era of Marvel, because there are books that I was not interested in, or maybe had no awareness of, that I'm going back to kind of read to get more context. Iron Man was dope. Blizzard Night in NYC. There are 2 book signings for New History of the Dakota Incident at Bulletproof on Wednesday, and Everyone Comics on Sat. Yes, you're in New York too, which is dope. I think I'm gonna try to go to the Bulletproof one if snow weather allows. I'd prefer to go to that one, just because I'm off on that day, and I'd love to get some signed. And there's some milestones that I'm about to hit in terms of like Instagram and stuff like that. So I'd love to give some of those away and support it as much as I can. I like Joe Illage's. They did the Blood Syndicate, which was great. Was it the Blood Syndicate? No, 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 no. They did a really good milestone book. Let me look it up. One second. One second. I will find this. Jesus. Shadow Cabinet. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Shadow Cabinet. That was awesome. And what was messed up about it was only like 3 or 4 issues. Like most miniseries get like 5 issues, and that one was so good because it was like a universe expanding kind of like Avengers Endgame type milestone event, and even set up a new status quo for Rocket and Static. Now, I don't know if they're going to continue that in the new history of the DC universe, because the new history of the DC universe, the Dakota incident, is meant to kind of bring them back into like the mainline universe. Um, but that book was so good. It was so good. You had Dennis Cowan on art, Chris Cross, and of the new like wave of milestone books, that was the one that like really kind of got me like, oh, like I need to go back and read a bunch of stuff. So I was upset that it was like, because I was expecting like 6, and then when I got to 4, I'm like, man, they got to wrap up a lot, and they did, and it was a really good conclusion to that book. But I was upset, and then also they only released it in a trade paperback and did not do a hardcover. I think, which sucks. That was a good book, really dope book, and I am disappointed that they didn't follow up. Now Joe is one of the writers and one of the creators on the new history of the DC universe, the Dakota incident. I am going to try to go to one of those signings, and meet them in person, and thank them for the work, because they've also done a lot to raise awareness in terms of the how important it is that this book does well, but also like, as much as you want to support these things, and you should support it, you want to buy it to support the creators, support the characters, the history of the Milestone universe. DC needs to do a better job of, one, marketing it, but also investing in these characters to elevate them to a point where they can kind of stand up and really have those opportunities. Because if you look at a lot of the next level characters, they are characters that haven't had books in such a long time. Granted, those are books that those creators wanted to make, and they're sort of making this new push to making DC Comics creative forward. But you can make an effort to find creators that want to do milestone books, to who want to do a Vixen book, who want to do black characters in the DC universe and characters of color. So DC, yes, we all want to support, and you should. I am going to buy multiple copies of the new history of the DC universe, and like I said, shout out to Joe Illage for sort of like creating this campaign to get it to 100,000. But also, it is on DC Comics to create a environment, and also put their money where their mouth is in terms of supporting these characters. They may say they do, but we have to see that through books, through ongoing books in the mainline DC universe. So, shout out to all the creators that have really sort of, have been on DC's neck when it comes to that. So, I'm excited for the book. I'm excited for the signings. And like I said, Shadow Cabinet was awesome. So if you haven't read that, that's on the DC Infinite app. And pretty soon, just look at my Instagram, and which is What a Boy Wonders. Pretty soon, if I get those books signed, I'm still gonna buy the book, and that. And I'm pretty close to hitting 10K on Instagram. Gonna try to do a giveaway, and like I said, getting back to making regular videos on the channel. So appreciate you all for showing up and supporting. Anytime anyone hears me yap, it gives me sort of like, hey man, like I gotta make these videos. There's people like waiting on me maybe. So I appreciate anyone that you know takes time to talk comics with me and stuff like that. So and again, Mothman, I it's every time I go live, I could just randomly just hit the live button and there. So I appreciate you all. Like I said, take a look. I'm definitely gonna blast it on YouTube and on both my YouTube channels when I do that giveaway. And like I said, take a be on the lookout for new videos. And let's make this a more consistent thing. Next week, I might not go live because, like I said, there is that signing at Forbidden Planet, and that signing is a little bit later. So I don't know if I'll be able to stream that night, but I'm gonna try my best. So I appreciate you all. Thank you, Chris. From Chris to Chris, appreciate you. Thank you all. Have a good night. Be safe if you're on the East Coast. I know New York right now is blizzarding, so I'm gonna try to stay in, read some